There are needs and there are wants. We humans, especially Americans, have a knack for evolving to manipulate nature. So, of course, we have learned to mix the two together and call them rights. Let me start with some examples. To survive, you need to eat food. Now, you can hunt wildlife and forage for things like berries, seeds, and greens from the land and survive just fine. But you have many other choices. It's possible to raise your own domesticated plants and animals for food. There's also the option of going to your local grocer to buy raw meat, vegetables, and grains that others have gathered. While you're there, you'll also notice those foods in various stages of being prepared and processed by others, many ready for you to eat right out of the package. There are even these places that take care of every single step of the process of finding the food, preparing it, and getting it right in front of you. All you have to do is sit there and eat it. In all these instances, no matter what you choose, you get the food you need to survive. It's just acquired at different levels of convenience and expense. You can easily pick a morel out of the ground and eat it right there, no exchange of currency required, and you're fulfilling the basic need for food. You're surviving. But what led up to this seemingly simple occurrence happening? What is the actual level of convenience and expense? This can only be possible if you're in a forest where morels grow, at a time when morels are in season, where morels are actually growing. You can see the morel, so it's not dark. You comprehend what a morel looks like, and that it is edible, and don't mind the taste of a raw morel, as well as any dirt and insects that may still be attached to it. Still, to stand there and eat that free morel, you had to take the time and maybe pay to learn what mushrooms are edible, where they're found, when they're in season, wait for mushroom season, pay for some mushroom hunting gear, pay for travel to get there where they are, and take the time to actually find it. That sounds like a bunch of your time and money was invested in eating one moderately nutritious piece of food that probably tastes a lot like dirt. In all fairness, there are probably several other morels in the area for you to feast on, so your nutritional needs can be met for the time being. Just don't be surprised if you get diarrhea or intestinal parasites. But if you're willing to invest more time and money, you can take the morels home with you, wash them, cook them, slightly reducing their nutritional value, but greatly increasing the pleasantness of your eating experience. And there it is. There's the hook. There's the sensation that separates civil creatures from wild animals. We've evolved beyond the animalistic plight for a warm, safe nest near a steady supply of quality food, water, and mates. Now the all-encompassing, unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what drives us. Any more survival is just a byproduct of getting to do what you want and have what you want. In establishing civilization to break away from the often dangerous, bland, simple, and primal aspects of mere survival, we inseparably weave what we want into what we need. Sure, I could survive on spring water and mushrooms, but why do that when I'm free to choose, and much happier going to, an all-you-can-eat buffet? Sure, I could survive in a cave, but why do that when I'm free to choose, and much happier staying in, a fantastic mansion? Sure, I could survive Without clothing, sanitation, education, and healthcare. But why do without those when I'm free to choose, and much happier having all those things to raise the quality of my life, as well as increasing my chance of survival and thus the survival of my species? Hell, I could even survive without the freedom of choice, or seeking happiness, or even a reasonable assurance that someone won't try to take my life. But wouldn't that make me no better off than a wild animal? With the state of the world as it is today, I'm sorry, but I must say that those unalienable rights should now be circumstantial rights. Under certain circumstances, people should have the right to end life. Under certain circumstances, people should have the right to inhibit liberty. Under certain circumstances, people should have the right to deny happiness. I have neither the time nor the energy to discuss all those circumstances, but I'm sure you have some idea of what they could be. There are actually laws that allow for certain circumstances in some form or another, but not to the extent I believe is justified. Some may say it's a slippery slope when we start questioning our constitutional rights, and I will agree. Our humanity is what led us to such a thing as the Constitution, as well as all the amendments to it hence. What it means to be a sentient race cannot be set in stone, or even transcribed to paper without eventual addendums, as that definition is constantly evolving. What is actually self-evident is when you observe those who cling to ancient texts and traditions and see how unstable they are becoming, because life itself is so incompatible with the old ways. There is a stark imbalance in how life is lived, not just in these United States, but all over the world. We're on the proper path to balance by putting rights into effect and enforcing them with laws, but chaos and evolution cannot be denied. What it means to be human changes. So too do our rights. And they do. But the wheels of progress seem to turn so slowly and even reverse at times. Not these things we call rights, but humanity is what cannot afford to be denied and undermined. Big example, a corporation is not a person. Neither is a church or any other organization. Of course, make laws for them, but giving them the same rights as a person is a shameful mockery of humanity. Obviously, I don't agree with many laws in this nation, but overall, it is one of the most progressive nations on this planet in areas where humanity is concerned. My needs for food, clothing, shelter, sanitation, education, and healthcare are more than covered. My wants, whatever they may be at any given time, are addressed within reason. My rights, whether I like them or not, are protected well enough. Any complaining I have to do is of superficial bullshit at its core. But I have the right to do that too now, don't I?